But I am very passionate about speaking up for the people who really have no voice. And many of you probably remember the quote from Martin Luther King that says, in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. So the fact that you're all here tonight means you don't want to be silent. So I'm just gonna, so we are a large community health center in Toledo, and obviously with everything that's going on with the Trump administration, we're kind of holding our breaths to see what's gonna happen, if places like ours are gonna continue or not. So I'm just gonna kind of give you just a little bit of background about what we do. So we are a community health center with 2 locations. One's in South Toledo, on Broadway and South End area, and another one over on Dorr Street. Our mission statement is to provide compassionate, high-quality, affordable health care that reflects the love of Jesus. And I mean that deeply because I feel like, it's probably politically incorrect, but I feel like a lot of Christians have kind of abandoned the concept of the love of Jesus, and so I think we are really firm to that. So our patients have complex health and social problems, and they face incredible obstacles, including homelessness, generational poverty, lack of opportunities for decent education, lack of family support, sometimes domestic violence, and sometimes substance abuse. So I'm just going to real briefly tell you about why we started and what we do. So I'm an obstetrician. I previously practiced with ProMedica. I had been doing medical work in Guatemala for about 6 weeks every year since 1998. And when I would come back to my private practice in Monday, I would always hear the girls on the phone when patients would call, and the first question was not, when would you like your appointment? The first question is, what's your insurance? And if you don't have insurance, then please call us back when you do. And until I started this work, I really did realize how really difficult it is to even get on Medicaid. Like, people think, oh, you just call up and you get on Medicaid. It's incredibly complicated. And so, many people, including pregnant women, couldn't get any health care for months, or sometimes not at all. So, like many of you, I've often asked myself, how does the richest country in the world not seem to believe that health care, including prenatal care, should not be a basic human right? Even in Guatemala, all women have access to at least basic health care. So as that question troubled me, and I kept feeling more guilty about why I was providing health care in a country so far away and not to the poorest of my own country, I started looking into options. I actually tried to get a job working with this population, but doors kept closing, so I decided to kind of look into the possibilities of what I could do myself. And so through the usual winding paths that God leads us on, I learned about a huge faith-based community health center in Detroit, and their CEO became my mentor. He helped me realize what needed to be done and also encouraged me in so many ways. I also realized that there are very many generous people in Toledo that helped us make this happen. So I started exploring. I speak Spanish pretty well, and so I was looking at that South End area, so I could kind of use my Spanish. And I found an old Andrew Carnegie library that had been abandoned for 14 years. So we were able to get that building from the land bank, and then through the generosity of so many people, we were able to turn it into a clinic. So we opened in 2017, it was just myself and 2 very part-time family doctors, and little by little we just grew and grew and grew to the point that we needed a second facility, and so we were able to get another old library on Dorr Street. We turned that into another big facility. So, now we have several doctors and a pediatrician and midwife, myself, and we have community health workers and social workers, and we even have a full-scale pharmacy now so that we can provide medications to our patients that are uninsured or poorly insured. So just to give you a little brief on our patients, we saw about 11,000 patients last year. About 2,200 of them were children, and we had about 250 pregnant women that we saw. Of our patients, about 61% of them have Medicaid, 20% have no insurance, and about 19% have commercial insurance. But as you know, a lot of people with commercial insurance have a $6,000 to $7,000 or more deductible. How do you ever pay that if you're making $40,000 a year? So our patients have a high level of poverty and homelessness. Less than 10% of the population in the zip codes where we are accessing any health care. We have a high undocumented Latino population that cannot get health insurance. Our area suffers from disparity in all of the social determinants of health. 64% of our patients live below 200% poverty level, and that includes 16,000 families and 13,000 children. So how do we help? We provide them with all the medical care that you would get if you could go to your own private doctor. We assist them in getting onto Medicaid. We have a sliding fee scale for our uninsured patients, and that goes from anywhere from $10 to $40. And most people pay $10, or if they really can't pay anything, we never turn anyone away. We assist people with transportation. We have mental health and substance abuse counseling. We connect them with emergency food services. We assist them with things even like getting furniture, car seats, cribs, or diapers. And for all of our pregnant women and any family who has children under the age of 1, we've been able to get grants to prevent them from being evicted. So if they're behind on their rent or they haven't paid their utility bills, we're actually able to do that for them. And probably most importantly, we really strive to provide a loving, compassionate place where they can feel at home. And I think it's because of that that we've had really good outcomes. Many of you may know that Ohio has been given a D rating by the March of Dimes for its performance on infant and maternal health, primarily due to persistent high infant mortality rates, racial disparities, and maternal mortality rates. So, without going into a lot of detail, the rates of low birth weight and preterm birth in our clinic is dramatically lower than the state and lower than Lucas County. And that's not because of any doctor thing I do, that's because we have this full community health center with, all these different things that we're able to offer patients. So, I really believe in what we do. The bill that's going to be going to the Senate soon is really going to decide how much money is going to go in Medicaid, and if Medicaid funding really gets slashed like it may, we don't know, that really might be a threat to places like ours. So I guess that's why I was wanting to get out of my comfort zone and talk tonight. They do say that sometimes telling a story tells more than giving statistics, and so I thought about a good story to tell you. And so I had a patient who came in about a week ago, 34 years old. She has 6 children, just a lovely person. She hasn't had a pap smear in 7 years because she didn't have insurance. And she came in with some symptoms, and I could clearly see with just examining her that she's got full-blown cervical cancer. So, she may not live, and then her 6 children are going to grow up without a mom, and we all know where that goes. Her treatment will cost over $100,000, which all could have been prevented by a pap smear if she had had some basic health insurance. So I don't think I'm saying anything to maybe that you don't already know, but just things to kind of keep in mind. It's a really serious issue that we live in a country like this that doesn't provide for everyone. So thank you very much.